Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is going to be a short video, and in this video we are going to address the question, how do you decide if you want to become an option seller or an option buyer? So the major difference between an option buyer and an option seller is the time decay is going to act like a friend for an option seller, whereas it is going to act against an option buyer. And the two major arguments which come when we want to decide if we want to become an option buyer or a seller are, the first one is the capital required and the second one is the risk and reward. So let's start with the risks and rewards of the buyer and the seller. So as a seller, you will have a limited profit, whereas the risk exposure will be unlimited for an option seller. On the other hand, for option buyer, the risk is limited, whereas his potential to make profits is unlimited. But these are very hypothetical situations. So this the unlimited loss for a seller is basically the unlimited profit for a buyer, right? And this scenario is going to occur only when there is a very significant move in the market, and this significant move is going to happen very rarely. It's not going to happen on a daily basis, right? So for a seller, his profitability will be defined by how he is going to manage this significant days and how he is going to manage the losses. On the other hand, for buyer, his profitability is going to depend on how he is going to capitalize on these kind of days. So basically, seller is going to make consistent profits, but there will be a day where the market is going to move very significantly, and on that particular day, his capital is going to draw down very significant by a significant amount. On the other hand, the option buyer will not be making consistent profits every day, but there are going to be days where he is going to make huge amount of profits. So what happens here is the profitability of a seller and a buyer will come down to a level wherein it will be defined by how these players are going to manage their losses or capitalize their profits. Now let's discuss the capital required. So the capital required for a seller is basically high because the kind of exposure which a seller has is more when compared to a buyer, right? And even if the option seller hedges both the ends and he makes the position to be a fixed loss strategy, even at that point of time, the capital required to carry out such trade will be definitely going to be higher than the capital required to buy an option. But but this capital is for a particular trade. And if you look at the trading capital, even the option buyer needs to have a trading capital, let's say in lakhs, because from day one you're not going to make profits. So what happens here is the option seller is going to put most of his trading capital into a particular trade, whereas option buyer will not deploy his entire trading capital into a particular trade, but eventually he's going to have a trading capital which is definitely greater than the capital required to enter into one particular contract. So at the end of the day, the trading capital required for an option buyer is also a significantly higher amount. So what I'm trying to say here is it is not about the capital or the risk and reward which will define that you want to become an option seller or an option buyer. It comes down to a very individual level wherein your trading style is going to define if you want to become an option seller or an option buyer. And if you personally ask me if I want to be an option buyer or an option seller, so I'm a little inclined towards option selling. But lately, I've also been trying directional strategies which involve not option buying, but I tend to trade in futures nowadays. So that's it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.